Previously on Perception Check. The Coalition battled against the prosecution in Erebus' trial and goalposts and have called most of their witnesses to talk about his character, growth, and how things have changed. The courtroom was shook when there was a sudden light and Lambert the Ascendant, Erebus' deity, appeared. We now enter the last episode of the trial and discover Erebus Blackheart's fate.
Speaking of, and I bow.
He stands there, muscular, very hairy. As he is standing in the middle, he kind of glows a little bit and it fades. The judge kind of stands and smacks his gavel and goes, What is the meaning of this? And Lambert looks at you, Erebus, and smiles, and he turns to the judge. And he says, I am here to speak about the defendant. Erebus has been a loyal follower to me and has confided in me multiple times. As an Ascendant, my connection with him is strong, and while Erebus has more of a wild side in his younger days, he has shown on multiple occasions he believes in doing the right thing. Just the way he goes about it is perhaps unorthodox. The deal Erebus made took advantage of him during a helpless situation. You must realize that. We are talking about an out-of-body situation, basically. And the judge kind of looks down at him, and Lambert says, how often have you had a god visit these halls? How often have you had an Ascendant come down to defend someone? Obviously, this is a matter of great importance to everyone, including those on our plane. And the judge goes, Are we in Risen's hall, Ascendant? And Lambert kind of cocks his head and says, No. Then why are you here? You feel like you can enter my courtroom and wield your name and status like I should be beholden to you. And Lambert's like, I don't think you're taking in the seriousness of this. And the fact that I'm here means that maybe you should be listening to more people. And the judge kind of looks down at his desk and his papers and goes, You may be excused.
Judge?
Yes?
I don't want to be rude. Of course. I raise my hand lightly. This is your courtroom, and we do respect that. Absolutely. 100%. Maybe you are not aware, and if you would allow me, I will educate you on one thing, and that is these Ascendant have one day a year to come down to our plane, and Lambert chose this day. He could have gone anywhere. He could have done anything. He could have seen anyone, but he chose to be here because he feels that this is important enough.
Lambert points at you and is just like,
important enough to spend his only day in defense of Erebus. I think that we shouldn't gloss over the significance of that, sir.
Can I raise my hand and go, Your Honor, he also now holds my contract.
And Harrison kind of like looks over at the table and looks at Lambert and like kind of scratches down some notes and kind of like rubs her chin. And the judge is like, Interesting. And Lambert says, You are looking at someone who is under the control of a demon. That has been fixed. He is now being watched and has a connection with the Ascendant. If there's anything from his past that you're worried about, we will be watching over him. And the judge says, I will take all this into consideration. You bring up some fair points. Um, but I would also like to continue with whatever witnesses may be left. So again, Ascendant, you may be excused. And Bert kind of stands up and walks over to Lambert and is like, Lambert, it's okay. Come outside with me. It will be for the best. I'll get you a drink. What do you like to drink? And as they're kind of like walking back, you hear Lambert like, I don't drink. and they kind of like leave.
Thank you so much. I yelled, or I call back at them.
So I'm not going to have you roll any sort of persuasion. I'm automatically going to boost it up because I think the intervention with Lambert and how you guys reacted to it gave you points.
Nice.
Also, holy shit, Corey.
Amazing. Maybe Hamath can just, why don't we just say that Hamath talked about how contracts work and things of that nature?
Yes. So Hamath, I can give kind of a thing. Hamath.
The only thing that I was going to say to during that whole thing was like that something that's really already been said is that Erebus made this contract in a moment of weakness to defeat an evil.
Yeah, Hamath
and save all of you.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was not that one was better than the other. They're both terrible, either signing the contract or allowing him to win, or whatever it was. But basically, it was the lesser of two evils in a situation that he didn't have or felt like he didn't have a choice in.
Yeah, Hamath. We'll just say he is called, comes to the stand. He's wearing really thick hooded robes to shroud himself from the sun. It looks like any normal person would pass out from the heat of these heavy robes during the day, but he's totally comfortable. He introduces himself, says he's from the temple of Zamkrat, which is an Ascendant, but like a life-draining, like vampiric style of magic professional. This Ascendant is Zamkrat. And he talks about being connected to the dark and wanting to discuss the dealings of the underworld. And his big point is explaining contracts that they are bound, and at any point, a demon can claim the soul of the person who made the contract. So until that time, they can force anyone assigned to a contract to take part in any sort of ritual. And he says basically that the sacrifices Erebus was doing, the demon is liable for those actions because they are the one pushing it and forcing it. And if it doesn't happen, it's excruciating pain and the person becomes manic and completely uncontrollable if they're not making these sacrifices and could do a lot more damage. Just kind of says like, these aren't like a small thing. They are a huge thing that ruin lives. And depending on the type of person you are, you either get ecstasy from it or you get like incredible guilt and suffering, which feeds the demon even more.
Yeah, agony. Gotcha. Okay, that's very good. I don't know if I really need to call my surprise witness.
Who was it?
It would be interesting. Maybe I should do it anyway. I was gonna have Harafin come up onto the stand.
Oh.
We should just do it.
Okay.
All right. So I approached the bench one more time.
Hold on.
What?
Who's Harafin?
The other lawyer.
Oh. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. The judge kind of like looks strangely and looks over at Harafin and is like, I don't think anyone's ever asked the prosecution lawyer to ever take a stand. He's like, why don't you both come up here and talk to
Great,
me?
thank you so much.
And he goes, Garryle, Embersel, where are you going with this?
Well, sir, as I look at Harafin and I see the questions she's asking, you know what I can tell? Here's what I think I can tell. Harafin, your heart is not in this. And I feel like if you get up on that stand and tell the truth, I think you may make a different decision than the one you're making now, the one trying to prosecute Erebus. I think that you think, just like we all do, that Erebus deserves a second chance. I think you see all of these people that have come up here and said these things about him and felt our passion and love for him. And I think you're on my team. Because our team is to help the world. And that's what Erebus is doing. That's what he's trying to do.
Harafin says, Garryle, I respect you a ton. I respect the coalition so much. Because of everything that happened, we can be here today. Yes, the Titan War is such a crucial aspect of our history, and it will be such a crucial aspect of our future. Erebus played a part in that. I will be forever thankful. But at the same time, it kills me to do it. But someone has to speak for the lives lost. Someone has to speak for those that cannot speak right now.
And I agree, but I don't think this is the punishment that we need to give him. Does Erebus deserve to pay for what he's done? Yes, but not with death.
And she goes, it's not for me to decide. It's for the
At least we
judge.
understand, yes?
Hmm?
We don't want to see him dead.
She kind of like looks at the judge and looks at you, and she's like, it is my job to do the court's will. I'm not going to say what I think any sort of punishment should be. It's up for the judge to decide, and for me to make my case the best I can.
Absolutely. No, I respect that. I wondered what side you were on.
She kind of hangs her head and like shakes it, and she's like, as of right now, Garryle, I'm on the side of the prosecution. That's the only thing I can be right now. And the judge is kind of listening to you two kind of go back and forth. And roll persuasion, Garryle.
Oh no.
I'm gonna give you advantage on that. That's
You?
that was very interesting.
Thank you. Oh god. I hope this goes well. Okay, so that's a natural 1. And that is also a natural 1.
How is that even possible?
I don't know. Like rolling on this mat the rolls are wild. It's not like rolling on the table. They don't roll the same, but it is what it is. It's nothing I can do. I never have and I never will lie about my rolls. They are what they are, and that fucking sucks so bad.
Okay, the judge
What
says,
I do have is a point of inspiration. Can I use that to roll again?
do you have to call it before the roll?
I don't know that.
Inspiration must be declared before the roll is attempted. It's a way of making a decision that this roll is really important, so you get advantage.
Got it. Well, there
Okay.
it is.
Well, he tells you, the judge says, okay, I will take that into consideration. Both of you go back. Let's get into closing arguments. Okay.
You know what sucks so bad is that both of the really good interactions that I had, I rolled poorly on both of them.
Yeah. So,
Thanks for indulging.
of course, the prosecution does their closing arguments. She walks out and says, and looks at the judge and the audience, and she says, "Ladies and gentlemen, think of what it means. What we are turning away from if we let Erebus Blackheart out into the world, not just the families and friends of the victims, but for every criminal and murderer who says, I was just out of my mind at the time. It was a demon." And she says, "We are not only looking for justice here today, but we are looking to close a loophole. If you save 2 people and kill 4 people, are you known as a hero? Or are you known as a villain for killing those innocents? Turning a blind eye would be a disgrace to the names of those we lost. In your honor, this is a choice between innocent and guilty. From everything you have seen here today, that answer could not be clearer. Thank you." And she sits down. Hello, everyone, and thank you for listening. This is Corey, your DM. I'm here to tell you about some projects we are involved in and what to look forward to in the future. If you're hearing this, that means you can make a huge impact on our show and how we grow. All I ask is that you jump on your podcast player of choice and drop a review for us. We are excited to be recording again, even though it is virtual and we are sacrificing audio quality, but we just couldn't wait to continue the story. If you enjoy the show, we don't advertise, so word of mouth is crucial for our show to be a success. So tell your friends, visit us at perceptionpod.com, that's perceptionpod, as in podcast.com, or look for Perception Check Podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Podbean, or almost anything out there. If you do have a podcast player that we are not on, you can always send us a message on Facebook, and I can make sure that we get our show on there. Or you can just say hello. In other news, are you looking to relax and have a delicious sip of a cocktail after you get the little ones to bed? Well, our very own Matthew has you covered. Subscribe to Bedtime Bartender on YouTube and get a slew of creative recipes for that perfect drink. Matt has done episodes on the top 10 drinks of 2020, flips, and my personal favorite, BTS-inspired drinks. Having children is not required, but speaking as a parent myself, man, I could use a drink after bedtime. So check out Bedtime Bartender on YouTube and drink responsibly. Now, back to the show. So closing arguments. Let's start with Topher.
Good call.
Okay. So I just go?
Yeah. So you approach.
All right. Hi, everyone. Your Honor. My name is Topher Biznatch. I am a Wood Elf Ranger. I want to tell you a little bit about myself, and please bear with me because in order to make my point, I need to tell you a bit of a story. When I grew up, I lived in in the woods. I'm a Wood Elf, and my community and we always felt like it was our responsibility to monitor the health of our forest. It's kind of like keeping a clean house because we live in the forest. And I'll never forget one year the animals started dying. We would find all sorts of animals, fantasy elk, fantasy deer, squirrels, you name it, monkeys, different animals that lived in the forest. We'd find them dead. They would have like a shrunken core. It was really interesting. The core of their bodies would become really small, and they would die. And we realized that it was some kind of disease. We weren't sure what it was, but we called it the core's light virus because it would make their core really light. Anyhow, I took it upon myself to find some kind of... Well, we had to battle it somehow. We needed to save these animals. So I talked to a really good doctor friend of mine, Wayne the Doc Johnson. And I talked to him about doing what he could to develop a medicine for the animals of the forest, and he said he wouldn't be able to do it alone. He said he understood the medicine, but his wife knew a lot about nutrition. He felt the best way to treat the animals would be with some kind of food, and so he looped in his wife, Anita Johnson, and they developed a special legume that would suck the disease out of the animals. So we called it the Johnson & Johnson Vac Bean. Now this, vacuum bean that they had developed, we started leaving it around the forest for the animals to eat. And it actually worked really well. We were excited. We saw a dramatic drop in the rate of the Coors Light virus among the animals. But as we kept feeding it to the animals, we realized, Wayne the Doc Johnson and myself realized that about 1 out of 1,000 animals would die. I remember Wayne the Doc told me, he said, I've committed my life to saving lives, and making this vac bean has made me a murderer. He took it really hard, and it hurt him a lot. And so we gathered all the leaders of our community, and we talked about it, and we were like, what are we going to do? This disease is ravaging the animal population, but the solution is killing about 1 out of 1,000. And after a lot of really serious consideration, we decided, with heavy input from the Johnsons, that it would be best to keep giving them the vac bean, because it was going to save far more lives than it was going to take. The reason I bring up this story is because I feel like it has a very direct link to the situation with Erebus. But it's even different with Erebus, because Erebus probably isn't going to continue to kill innocent people. He's out of his contract. But even still, he saved far more lives than he took. I don't want to bring up some kind of argument over what life means the most. I think all human life, and even animal life, all life in general, has an immeasurable value. And I think Erebus, now, even during his contract, and especially now and before that, has power and ability to save far more lives than he will ever take. And it's easy from the outside to think, oh, he killed innocent people, that's terrible. But you don't understand. We were at war. You were not at war, but we were. And Erebus was on the front lines daily. And it's difficult. You make sacrifices in times like that. So I don't want to justify what he did, but I want to make a simple comparison for you to show we can't lose him. He's too valuable. So that's what I have to say about that.
Shelby stands up in the back and goes,
I had to mute my mic because
yeah,
it was so.
I was literally crying.
It was beautiful and funny.
I was
Holy
literally
shit, Topher.
crying.
I love you. Holy fuck, dude.
I've never heard a Stranger Thing.
Look it up on Netflix.
I love your brain. I love your brain, Chris.
It just happened. Could you imagine sitting in that courtroom and being like,
That was so incredible.
Holy fuck.
This is why we're all friends. So good.
This is why the next session needs to be in person.
yeah. So I'm really curious about what River has, so I want to save that for last because she's been pretty silent this whole time. And I know she has quite a bit prepared. So Garryle, do you want to go?
I guess I should.
Good luck following that.
Yeah. Right. Well, it's a good thing because I didn't write it down on purpose because I wanted this to be on the fly. I know it sounds like, oh, well, he's just procrastinating. I actually wanted to be able to change this based on how the trial went, but the
Yeah.
basic idea is the same. So here it is. Well, I can talk for hours, and we've just heard an incredible story. But words mean nothing without their weight. I could explain the day away about how much Erebus has done and how important he is. But the fact remains true. These things. Erebus made a bad decision. Erebus is in agony. Erebus is a hero. Erebus does not deserve to die. Erebus seeks forgiveness for those he has wronged. And those he has wronged, we cannot fix. I would just say this. Erebus is worth saving.
All right.
That's it.
I suppose I should ask. The judge says, Erebus, you've been pretty vocal. Is there anything you wanted to say?
Is this like my closing argument?
Sure.
Okay. Your Honor, I've done a lot of stupid things in my life, as most of us do when we're young. Not saying this is one of them, but when I took this contract, it wasn't out of a greed of power or something petty. It was a necessity at the time, and it got us to where we are. It saved the coalition. It saved all of us at the time. And I didn't know the weight of it at the time. I didn't know anything about the contract. I took a promise of power without looking through the details. I took what was necessary at the time. And if I could take it back, God, I would. But I can't take it back. I wish I would have talked about it sooner. But I didn't. Because how do you talk to your friends about something like that? But if I've
Nice.
taken anything away from all of this, it's that everything comes with a cost. And everything comes with a price. I didn't realize the power that I had or anything about. I didn't think about others. And I'll summon Frank next to me and just go, I thought everything was disposable at the time. That's a fucking hard lesson to learn. But all I can do is move forward.
Awesome. I really wanted to interrupt and say when you made Frank appear that you were like, "This is my son."
I guess that won't make sense to the judge, but it'll make sense to everybody else.
Yeah.
That was really good, Erebus.
Okay. Everyone's kind of gotten up and spoke, but someone has been suspiciously quiet throughout most of the trial. River, what do you do?
River stands up and she's quite shaky, and she actually pulls like a piece of crumpled parchment out of her pocket. Like you can see that it's really old, like it's been carried around for probably a couple days for the trial.
And she reads a line of essence, and everybody dies.
and she says, I have a lot of things that I wanted to say, but I want to start off by just addressing a few of the things that were talked about during this trial. We talked about the number of lives lost, 18 or 28. What does it matter? Lives can't be given back. They're people that are gone, some of them with families, and some with life work not completed yet. We talked about mercy, whether Erebus showed mercy in abducting and murdering these people. There is no mercy in that. It's death, that's the final answer. Garryle talked about he did a bad thing, and people do bad things. Good deeds don't undo this. Yes, he helped in the Titan War, and yes, I served with him in the COL as a friend and a colleague and even family. But these things do require punishment, and he did these things out of anger. But we don't excuse everything anyone does out of anger. What if he gets angry or suffers a loss again? These are things that I am worried about as his friend, as his family. So how can I ask you not to be worried about it, you people of Goldpost who have lost so much? But, Your Honor, I plead with you. His contract is broken. These killings are done, and he is remorseful. But maybe consider banishment on penalty of death. If he should return to your rich and beautiful land, just never see him again. My relationship with Erebus as a fellow member of the COL and a friend is beyond repair. It's clear that there is good left in this dragon man, and more good for him to do. So just consider maybe banishing him from your land, and you'll never see him again. And if he shall return, penalty of death be done. And she just kind of turns and walks out of the courtroom.
Damn.
That was so awesome.
I didn't see that coming at all. That was really, really good.
I got goosebumps. And fits right in with her character, I think. She's always been pretty black and white about things. I love that. Okay, so the judge sits back in his chair and thinks, and he goes, "Give me a moment to go and collect my thoughts, and I will be back within a few minutes with my verdict." And he goes into his little side room, kind of behind the desk. So in these few minutes, you're all kind of sitting together, except for River, who left. Erebus, how are you feeling?
He's feeling
pretty
Did you-
shitty. It sucked for me to hear that from her, but I get it.
Okay.
So I'm not feeling great. Like, as she's like leaving the courtroom, I'm like, River, and she just like keeps walking.
going. Yeah. Awesome.
I'll hug Erebus and I'll say, she's not wrong, but I do love you.
Same.
Okay. So the door opens and everyone kind of gets quiet as the Judge Grumblehouse comes back out, and he stands up and he goes, I have come to a decision. Throughout this trial, it has brought to my attention that you, the Coalition of Light, you're not lawyers. I've never been in a court where someone who is being tried makes multiple outbursts. I've never had a lawyer for the defense try to call the prosecutor onto the stand. There was someone on the stand who had no idea what he was doing here. It has taken some turns. The case that I need to deliver a verdict on. And here at Goldpost, we don't do middle grounds. It's guilty or innocent. You have done many things, Erebus Blackheart. And if I decide that you are guilty and to be put to death, there will be numerous people who will mourn you, be upset with the Goldpost justice system. The pressure is immense. He says, but if I call you innocent, there's going to be people who have lost others that will be motivated to see harm fall upon you. I have no doubt the Assassin's Guild will reach many requests with your name on it.
I'll raise my hand and try not to be disruptive and just go, anyone that wants to or needs to come and take their pound of flesh, I would welcome it. Any family that lost or friend that lost, I would accept that.
And the judge says, Erebus, there's no reason to welcome violence after there has been so much. Whatever happens, happens. And while I was back there, I thought about the entire thing. And Erebus, you have been a part of a group that has made history. The things you have achieved, you are creating new books that will be taught for ages. And I suppose, as the world changes and history changes, then I think maybe some rules need to change as well. Erebus Blackheart, we find you guilty of the murder of those 28 people, and not even counting all the piracy in the raids. Your punishment will be banishment from Goldpost. If you set foot in Goldpost and are found, you will be arrested and brought to a state of execution on our grounds. Do you understand?
Understood.
Garryle Embersoul, Topher Biznatch, and River Song, who is not with us currently. I expect you to keep an eye on Erebus.
Yes, sir.
You're all
Yeah.
dismissed. And he slams the gavel and turns around and walks to his quarters. Shelby stands up and goes, "Yay! Maybe."
I'll go over and shake Harvin's hand.
She shakes your hand and she smiles and she's like, "Well, that's actually a first here."
Yeah, it kind of seems like it. You know, you're a worthy opponent. I know you're doing your job. Would you tell me? What did you really think?
I think you guys made an amazing case. I would have let him go.
As that
Um,
conversation is happening, I walk to the guard with my bracer on
Mm-hmm.
and like hold it out for him to unlock it.
Okay. He unlocks it for you.
Okay. As soon as I see him put it in his pocket,
Mm-hmm.
I snap my fingers and it's back on again, and I just walk out.
Okay, you start moving out.
I'm headed to find River.
Okay.
River's gone.
Wow, like completely left the whole building.
Yeah, she's gone. Yeah, she went somewhere to be alone.
Wow. Okay. So you go out into the hall and you look around and you're not seeing her. In the meantime, Topher, you see someone from the Hunters Guild come up and pat you on the back, and he goes, "Oh, hey, my name's Clark. I'm part of the Hunters Guild. You did great up there."
Thanks, Clark. How's the Hunter Guild doing?
Oh, good. The guild master of the Hunters Guild has been putting out kind of a notice, and so I'm actually here to see how everything goes with the coalition, but I also have something for you. And he hands you a piece of paper, and it's a scroll with some information on it. And he says, so there have been some deaths, some different reports from all around Liege, some from Jartung. There have been some strange creatures and strange sightings of things that have been killing people. And so it's kind of a all hands on deck. So we're looking for these. If you wind up completing the list, you can bring it back, and I guess there's some sort of reward.
Sweet.
That's incredible.
So this will be in your guys' handouts. So as you explore, when you reach some of these locations, as you go to them, if you want to like investigate this while there, so like if you go to the swamps and you're like, oh, I want to kind of wander around and investigate about like this swamps issue, then you can go to that and it will prompt a series of things to happen in any one of these locations. So it's just kind of like an extra thing while you're adventuring that you can look on and be like, oh, I want to do this, kind of a side quest.
These are incredible. Also, the last one, holy moly.
Yeah.
The Sleeping Giants. Can I read it? 'Cause it sounds so incredible.
Yeah.
This list has places and then what has happened. So in the first one is Dogwood Forest, Lost Hunters, Cult of Triton Beaches, the farm attacked in the Freeland, saw a creature escape into the water, and then several other examples. And then the last one says Sleeping Giants. Summoning circle on the easternmost mountain. The offerings were dragon scales, a vial of unknown blood, bat wings, and a finger from a cleric laid on a desecrated holy book.
Oh my gosh.
If that's not something to do with the coalition, that is the most interesting thing on this list.
That sounds demonic. For sure.
Well,
Sounds like fun.
blood, cleric, holy book, that could be the place where potentially Voke was able to get to the plane of the gods.
Oh yeah.
Right? Anyway.
You mean Shanti?
No, not Shanti. Voke. Remember when Vogue showed up in the middle of the Titan War? No, the
Flame of the
Ascendant
Gods.
War. Thank you.
Yeah.
When he just freaking showed up and totally wrecked everything.
So I'm going to
He's
jump back
dragon
out with
scales
this
got an
list.
issue.
I'll actually post this list on our website as well for anyone listening who wants to check it out. They can see it. So perceptionpod.com. So Erebus, you're out in the halls and you can't find River. Do you continue looking around? What do you do?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I'm in like torn, tattered clothes. I assume I haven't like been able to put my armor on at this point.
Yeah. I think
But,
at this point people are talking to you, Garryle, and like telling you like, okay, go here to get his effects and all this kind of stuff.
Great. I was just gonna ask about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna pop my wings out and take a circle around and see if I can find her.
Okay. And she is gone from the location. You don't have any eyes on her.
Okay. I'll fly back and find Garryle and just be like, I gotta find River, bud.
Well, you know she's gonna be wandering a bit, and then she'll be back at the school, and I would wait because we need to get you out of Gold Post as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Did they tell you where
Right now,
I
as
can
soon
find
as
my
possible.
effect?
Oh, I'm taking care of that.
Okay.
Garryle, you feel a tap on your shoulder. And as you turn around, you see Billy.
Okay.
And he goes, listen, man, I'm really going to need you to make that trophy for Harleth Earl. Like, is that something you can really do?
Yeah, I'm gonna make him a stupid trophy for. Listen, I love the guy, but that was embarrassing for us.
Hey, Billy,
Yeah.
I will hand carve it.
Oh, that's amazing. If you just want to drop it by the restaurant whenever it's done,
Yeah.
that'd be great. We changed the sign.
Soon as it's done, I'll drop it off, bud.
You changed the sign.
Yeah.
What does it say now?
Well, he gets kind of like pink cheeks. He kind of blushes a little bit, and he's like, well, part of the contract signing, Harleth Earl kind of had some demands.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we would, huh?
But if you're in Red Larch, look for the sign that says Billy's.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. What?
Look for Billy's family dining.
Did you hold on?
Billy?
Did you say fine fucking family dining?
Yeah.
Harleth Earl.
Yeah, it's Billy's fine fucking family dining.
Billy, we gotta work on that sign after the trophy, okay?
It's in the contract, man. The sign has to stay, otherwise I lose the tavern.
All right.
Maybe we can put a. Maybe we
got a
can
banner over it.
And it also sounds like we got a t-shirt, guys.
Incredible.
Oh.
I do want to say I completely changed one of the outcomes of this 10 seconds into when we first started the trial. Because Chris guessed one of the endings.
What?
Okay.
What was that?
So, if you guys did poorly and Erebus was going to get killed, the judge was going to go into the verdict thing and then come out and then like sneer at everyone and pound his fists on the table and be like, look, I think we can all agree that Erebus is ugly and stupid and a moron for doing all of these things. He's not even that strong. He's kind of a fool, and just goes on this whole thing about Erebus. And he's like, but damn it, the case that was presented, I can't say he's guilty for. He is innocent, and I want this to be the last I ever hear about this. Garryle, come with me, and I will give you the details of his release because you will be looking after him. And then once Garryle walked into the room, he would see Venom there with an unconscious guy with a bag on his head. And then Bert comes out of the bathroom dressed as the judge and says, so Garryle, you're still practicing the memory charm, right? But like getting into it and
holy
introducing
shit.
the judge, Chris said, oh, it's probably Bert in disguise. And I was like, shit, okay,
Oh,
crossing
because
it off.
you changed judges, right?